Crikey, mate, look at that beast I've spotted out there. Holy shit, is that a specialized Enduro? Let's see if we can't get a closer look at that. What's going on, buds? This is my dream bike. This is my 2020 Specialized Enduro Elite in the nice women's color right here, Dusty Lilac. She's purty. I went with S3 like Chase did. Specialized recommended we go with S4 based on their sizes, but we went by the numbers and the measurements that line up with our large size frames from last year. So we went with what was comfortable, and we're glad we did because Caleb's bike is way too big for him. So we're glad we got the size we did. First thing I'm going to show you is my cockpit setup. I've got the E13 carbon bars up front, 20 mil rise, 760 width. I'm used to running 780 width, but before I put these on my bike, I cut down my stock bars to 760 just to try it. I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. It's a little more nimble in the front and it feels just a little bit better. I don't have super broad shoulders, so it's all around just a more comfortable ride for me. For brakes, the old show stoppers right here. I also have the MT7 Pros. I had to replace my stock Code Rs that came on them because they weren't cutting it. They were not powerful enough and they fade like crazy. So far, the MT7 Pros, they're not even completely bedded in yet, and they're way more powerful than my SRAM brakes, so I'll probably never be going back to SRAM. I've got my MT7 Pros paired with Magura's Storm HC rotors. The reason I got their rotors is because they use 2mm rotors, whereas SRAM uses like 1.8 mil thick rotors. You're allowed to use those with these brakes, but the one thing I noticed was that the lever throw before it gets to the bite point is just a little bit less, so it feels a little bit better on the hands. Dropper lever, I've got the Wolf Tooth light action lever. I got this one on my last bike. I'm really loving it. The action is super easy on it, but we got these because the stock plastic dropper levers that came with our bikes were just straight up booty hole, and they just didn't cut it for us. Now for the hands, I've got the new Deity Super Cush grips in a nice matchy blue for the rest of my bike. Before this, I had the DMR Death grips and really liked them. I've also ran some Ergon grip, but the Death grips wore out pretty quick, and these grips just came out recently, so I wanted to see what the hype was all about, and the hype is real, buds, because these grips are cushy and super dope. They're also a little bit thicker than the last grips I was running. I've never ran a thicker grip, and I wanted to try that, and I ended up liking it. It feels a little bit more natural in these big hands. Let's go down to the wheels. Moving on down to the wheels and tires, I'm running a new wheel set from E13. They're LG1 Race Carbon Enduro wheels. Oh, that's a lot. But I was having issues denting the shit out of my aluminum rims, but I had to upgrade to some carbon. Shout out to E13. They sponsored us with their VIP grassroots team this year, so that's why you're seeing so many E13 components on our bikes. So we're super stoked to be working with them, and so far their components have been pretty awesome. These wheels are so much stiffer than my last ones. There's people coming. Wheels are much stiffer than my last ones, and so far they're feeling real nice. For grip, I've got the Michelin Wild Enduro front and rear specific tires. I was always a Maxxis guy before this, but after trying these, I was converted. The grip on these is outstanding. We also run Cush Core front and rear in our bikes no matter what now. For flat protection and for ride quality, mainly flat protection for me because I tend to hit my wheels a lot. So Cush Core is a must for us. While we're down here, take a look at these Magura calipers that I've got on here. Calipers are just huge. For one, they're like twice the size of the codes, and Magura has this cool thing where you can customize the ring color on them. So I painted mine blue to match the rest of my bike, and they look pretty freaking sick if I don't say so myself, or if I do say so myself. But I've also got a marsh guard up here. I always run a marsh guard. I mean, it doesn't really matter what fender it is, but it's just a cheap, simple upgrade to keep the mud out of your face when you're going quick. So definitely recommend the marsh guard. Moving on down to the drivetrain. I'm running, like Chase, Crank Brothers Mallet E long spindles, nice blue color, matchy once again. We run those with the easy release cleats. We find that those are like the best of both worlds. between flats and clips. It offers you the like glued to your bike feeling that clips do, but it's not as hard and locked in to get out of. So we really like running the easy release cleats. Drivetrain, she's still pretty stock on here. SRAM GX works pretty well, never had an issue with it. I've also got the E13 bash guard and chain guide combo on here. I've been running this one since I had my YT Capra a year, almost 2 years ago, and I love it. Protects my bike. I like to look back and see how many gashes I have in it, just to know that it's doing its job right there. So on stock bikes, the hub is pretty terrible on it. There's like 18 points of engagement, I think. And on these new E13 wheels, I believe there's 60, and it just sounds way cooler. Listen to this. Pretty sick. And then I've also got some all mountain style stickers, bike protection on my top tube, because I was having issues with my paint chipping a little bit on top, and just to keep it protected when getting on and off the bike. So those are super nice to have right there. Suspension. Running the old stock suspension with some custom decals from Richard Scott Designs. We'll put a link in the description for him. Cool, cheap decals that you can get for basically any suspension that you have. In the back, I have her fully loaded with volume spacers running 30% sag. Seems to work pretty well for me. One volume spacer up front in the fork, running about 25% sag, and feels pretty dialed at those settings. Okay buds, so if you liked any of the products that I was running on my bike, we're partnered up with Worldwide Cyclery, so if you shop through any of the links in our description, Worldwide will give us a little cut. So if you want to support the channel and the videos that we make, please do us a favor and shop with the links below so you can help us out and get some cool products for your bike.
Run higher pressures.
Yeah, there's people coming. You just gotta act like we're not here. These weird YouTubers out here. What are they doing?
What are those?
He rode his bike in here, clipless, but he's got some like freaking East Side Newark shoes on right now.
I haven't bought shoes in 2 years, but I buy bike parts like crazy. These are so hard to look out of.
Oh, fuck.
Doesn't always go perfect every time. How's that? Crazy. Of course it happens to me. Right after I said, oh, this is gonna be sick,